I can't imagine that you could possibly have any news that would interest me.
They might have. You never know, Bert.
Kindly don't call me Bert. My name is Hubert, the 100-horsepower tractor, and I am the most important machine on the farm.
I knows that. Sure as my name's old Fred Fordson, because you're forever telling me so. Anyway, I'd like to know what's new, so tell us, chickabiddies, do.
A visitor's come to Tumbledown Farm.
How?
In a car?
Who is this visitor? A little girl.
Where is she now?
She's with the farmer.
Why has she come? For a holiday.
When did she come?
Today. And that's all we know.
Foolish birds, you haven't told us anything about her at all.
I'd like to know who she is.
I can tell you that. She's Farmer Dick's granddaughter, and her name is Georgina.
I hope you're going to like it here with me and Dodo, Georgina.
I think I will.
You don't sound very sure.
Well, it's all very different, Grandpa. I've never been on a farm before. It's smelly and dirty and there's nothing to do.
There's plenty to do on the farm, you'll find out.
It's so quiet here.
Quiet? Why, there's noise everywhere on the farm. Just listen.
What's that place over there?
That's the barn. An old cat lives there. She has a den in there.
Could it be my den too, Grandpa?
You'll have to ask the old cat. Go and have a chat with her.
What's the name?
Name? She hasn't got a name.
Where will you be?
Oh, I'll be around, don't you worry. You just give me a shout if you want me. Come on, Dodo.
We lay eggs here, we lay eggs there, we chickabiddies lay eggs everywhere. In the hay, on the straw, even in the middle of the old barn floor. We've got eggs to lay every single day. We find a different nest in the place that we like best. On the straw, in the hay, we like to hide those eggs away. We lay eggs here, we lay eggs there, we chickabiddies lay eggs everywhere.
Hello.
Good morning, my dear, and a hearty welcome to Tumbledown Farm.
Thank you. Good morning.
What's good about it?
Well, I found two of the chickabiddies' eggs. Anyone here?
Only me.
Oh, hello, I'm called Georgina.
And you're Farmer Dick's granddaughter.
Oh, you knew.
I know lots of things, Georgina.
Grandpa said you were wise.
Did he now? He was right.
And he said you hadn't got a name.
Did he now? He was wrong. My name is Fifi.
What a nice name. Fifi, do you think I could come up here and see you sometimes while I'm staying with Grandpa?
Whenever you like. My den is your den. Anyway, I've always wanted a little girl to look after. I expect you're finding everything rather strange.
Yes. At first I didn't think I was going to like it here at all. But now that Grandpa's shown me all the animals, and I found 2 eggs, and that old tractor was so nice to me, and especially now that I've met you, I feel much happier.
Good. Why not go and tell Grandpa so? I think perhaps he was worried about you settling down.
Where is he?
He'll be in the bothy about now, I should think, having a cuppa. He might tell you a story.
About a cat?
No, about a dog. About a very special dog. The only one I've ever really liked. Ask him to tell you about the day he went to buy Dodo.
Well, how'd you get on in the barn?
The chickabiddies sang me a song.
They did they?
And the little old tractor was nice to me. And the big new tractor was rude. And I met Fifi, and she's lovely.
Fifi?
The old cat. You said she hadn't got a name, but she's called Fifi. And she says she always wanted a little girl to look after.
What else did Fifi say to you?
She told me to ask you to tell about the day you went to buy Dodo.
Oh, yes. I remember that very well. Would you like to hear about it?
Yes, please.
Come here, Dodo. Well, we went to a farm, and we went into the kitchen of this farmhouse, and it was absolutely full of dachshunds. There must have been about 30 of them there. Some red ones, like Dodo, some pepper and salt coloured ones, and they were all barking like anything. Hello, nice to see you. Had a good journey. Hope you're feeling well. Nice weather for the time of year. All except one, a very little red puppy with a very fat tummy that was trying very determinedly to creep back up onto the bench where they were all sitting. And she didn't say anything at all until she did get up onto the bench, and then she looked up at us and said, hello, nice to see you. And the farmer's wife said, I'm sorry, I'm afraid I've only got one puppy for sale. And we said, which one? And she said, the one with the fat tummy that's just had a job to climb back up on the bench. And we said, lovely, because that's the one we want. So we paid for her. And then we said goodbye to the Dachshunds, all the other 30 Dachshunds, and they said, cheerio, have a nice journey, drive carefully. And they all shouted, good luck, young what's your name?
Hello, chickabiddies. Grandpa's been telling me a story.
What about?
About the day he got Dodo. She was very, very small.
Like you.
And very brave.
Like me.
And very determined.
Like you, me dear, I'm sure.
Fifi, are you older than Dodo?
Ooh, much older, Georgina.
Then you're much older than me. Do you mind being old?
Not a bit. There's many a good tune played on an old fiddle.
That's a funny saying.
I'm full of funny sayings.
Oh, but I forgot. Do you know what else Grandpa said?
What?
He said I could have you for my own.
I think you misunderstood him. People have dogs for pets. Cats have people for pets. What he meant was that I could have you to look after.
I don't mind which way around it is. It's just as nice. Chickabiddies, I bet you've got something to tell me.
You're right. Guess what?
A new animal on the farm?
With 4 legs, and it says moo.
Easy, a cow.
Wrong!
If it's got 4 legs and says moo, it must be a cow.
No, because it's got 4 little legs and only says a little moo. The latest?
Yes, there's a new calf. That's a baby cow.
How do you know that?
Ask a hen, ask a hen. If it's gossip that you want, ask a hen, ask a hen, ask a hen. If you want the latest news, ask a hen.
Fifi, the chickabiddies say that one of the cows has had a baby.
It's quite likely. It's probably true, but you don't have to believe everything those birds say, you know. They're foolish creatures, those hens.
A duck said so too.
Ducks aren't too clever either.
Which are the cleverest animals, Fifi?
Can't you guess?
No.
Go and ask old Fred and that Hubert. But don't get under their wheels, mind, and see what they say.
Good morning, Fred. Good morning, Mr. Hubert. Can I ask you something, please?
If you must.
Of course you can, my dear.
Which are the cleverest animals on the farm?
No use asking Ford some difficult questions like that. He'll take all day to think of an answer.
'Twouldn't take me all day. Might take a little while. Let me think now.
I'll tell you, child. Listen carefully and don't interrupt. You
I
see,
wasn't.
you're interrupting now. Be quiet. Now, the cleverest of the farm animals are the pigs. Cats and dogs, of course, are cleverer still, but no animal can compare with a really brilliant machine. And I'm sure you know who I'm talking about.
Oh, Fred.
Ah, she got you there, Bert, didn't she?
Do not call me Bert. My name is Hubert, and of course I was referring to myself. I'm the latest, I'm the greatest, I'm a wonderful machine. I'm quite the finest tractor the world has ever seen. I'm Hubert, just Hubert, though my name is not that long. I've got big wheels and I weigh a lot, I'm 100 horsepower strong. I'm the best you'll ever see, especially the wheels. Hubert, that's me.
Come and look at this, Georgina. This is a very special sort of cow called an Irish moilie, and that's a heifer calf. They've got a saying out in Ireland, you know, that if the wind blows very strongly, it's enough to blow the horns off a moilie cow.
But they haven't got any horns.
It's a joke.
Do they stand up as soon as they're born?
Not so soon, but quite soon afterwards, in about half an hour.
Do they eat grass like their mother?
No, they don't eat grass straight away, not for a while. First of all, they just drink their mother's milk. But a cow like that gives too much milk just for one calf, so some of it gets sold, doesn't it? So all those milk bottles all over the country, like the ones on your doorstep, they all come from cows that have had babies. Now, over the other side of the yard is this little heifer calf's dad, the moilie bull. Shall we go and see him? Come on, then.
Do bulls really charge at race?
Oh, any colour might attract a bull's attention. The thing you've got to remember with bulls is this. There are a lot of dangerous things on the farm, but this is the most dangerous. And you never want to take a chance with a bull. Doesn't matter if he hasn't got any horns, he's still very, very heavy. And he can kneel on someone and really hurt them. So you've always got to be very careful with a bull.
I wonder what the new calf will be like when it grows up, Fifi.
Your grandfather keeps lots of different kinds of cattle, all colours and shapes and sizes, and some of them are very rare.
What does rare mean?
Well, it means that there aren't many of them left. There's only one thing certain about this calf.
What's that?
It's either male or female, either a bull calf or a heifer calf.
If it's a bull, it could be dangerous when it grows up, couldn't it, Fifi?
You're right. 3 things are not to be trusted: a dog's tooth, a horse's hoof, and a bull's horn.
You know a lot of sayings. How do you remember them all?
Oh, I'm good at remembering things. I remember a story of your grandfather's about a bull. A short-horn bull it was. Get him to tell you about it.
Grandpa? Fifi says you got a story about a bull.
Lots of stories about lots of bulls. Which one did she mean, I wonder?
She didn't say. She just said it was a short-horn bull.
Ah, short-horn bull. I remember that one all right. That was the time I flew. It happened when I started farming at a farm sale of the farm that I was going to buy. And the last thing of all to be sold was a bull, a short-horn bull called Barney. He was 3 years old, and he spent the whole of his life shut up in a little dark shed with only one small window. Well, now, bulls really ought to be kept in big, airy bull pens where they can see everything that's going on the farm. I mean, the farmer fed him, cleaned him, and exercised him. But Barney kept saying to himself, oh, if only I could be free, I'd gallop and gallop and gallop all over the fields, and if anybody got in my way, powie, I'd toss them over my head. Well, he was the last one to be sold. Hello, 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 he said to himself when the man came to fetch him out. What's all that noise going on? And the man put a bull pole onto his ring and led him out into the blinding sunshine, and just at that moment, somebody gave the bull a bang on his bottom with a stick. The bull gave a jump, and the bull pole broke, and the bull was free. What are all those people doing standing round that ring of straw bales, he said to himself. I'll soon sort them out. And he ran into the middle of the ring of straw bales, and he stood there swinging his heavy head and blowing and snorting. And everybody disappeared, up ladders, and into loose boxes, and onto wagons, except me. And I just stood there dreaming about my new farm. And then I looked up, and there was the bull right in front of me. Well, he might have been a short-horn bull, but they looked very sharp horns to me. And then he put his head down, and he charged. And that's when I flew through the air so hard I hit a gatepost and broke it off. I just felt the wind of the bull going galloping past me. And he shouted out, missed him! But I'm free now. And away he galloped.
Grandpa's been telling me this story of how he flew through the air to get out of the way of the bull. Do you think he really did, Fred?
I never heard tell of folk flying. I shouldn't think they could. I couldn't, I'm sure.
I expect Hubert could, though. He thinks he's so clever.
I might. Certainly I might. I've just never tried.
What about you, Chickabiddies? Do you believe it?
Of course not.
People can't fly.
Only birds can fly.
Like us. Well, you don't fly very well.
You don't fly at all.
And what's more, you can't lay eggs.
Hello, Chickabiddies.
What goes quack, quack,
And swims in a pond.
and has 4 legs?
What goes quack, quack and swims in a pond? Why, that's a duck. It hasn't got 4 legs. I give up. You'll have to tell me. What goes quack, quack and swims in a pond and has 4 legs?
2 ducks.
Oh, very funny. So you've got something to tell me about the ducks, have you?
No.
No, no.
But why are you talking about them then?
Because that's where your grandpa is.
If you see Georgina,
He said to us,
tell her I'm in the duck house.
Ask
What news from the foolish chickabiddies this morning?
Nothing much. Just a message from Grandpa to say he was in the duck house.
Better than being in the dog house.
Do you like ducks, Fifi?
Can't say I've ever eaten one.
No. I mean, do you think they're nice animals? I do. I wonder if the tractors do. Good morning, Mr. Hubert.
Is it?
Is it what?
Is it a good morning? I have no idea stuck in here, rain or shine.
You're better off than me. I never gets out nowadays. But you're always out and about, Bert.
Hubert!
And you don't do much work when the weather's bad, I notice. Now, when I were a jolly young tractor, I had to work in all winds and weathers. Didn't matter if it was raining cats and dogs. Nice weather for ducks, your grandpa would say, and off we'd go just the same.
Talking about ducks.
We were not talking about ducks, and I, for one, would not waste my breath on the stupid creatures.
Oh, I likes ducks. There was a duck pond right next to the old shed I used to live in 50 years ago.
When I were a jolly young tractor, 50 years ago, I worked all winds and weathers, in rain or gale or snow. But I couldn't do it now, oh dear me no. My engine's tired and my wheels turn slow. But it's nice to remember what I done in the good old days when life were fun. When I were a jolly young tractor 50 years ago, but I couldn't do it now. Oh dear me, no.
Why do you keep ducks, Grandpa?
Why do I keep ducks? Oh, I like them. I'm very fond of ducks. In fact, I like all waterfowl. I've got lots of geese too, you see. But I think perhaps my favourite ducks are those funny ones that walk very upright with their hands behind their backs. They're called Indian runners. I've got two different sorts of Indian runners, white ones, like those, and some different coloured, can you see? Those are called trout Indian runners. And as well as them, there are lots of other sorts of ducks too. Muscovy ones, they're quite interesting. Those black and white ones, because they fly very well. And also, they've got something that other ducks haven't got. They've got claws on their webbed feet, so they can fly up into a tree and perch there.
You don't eat ducks, do you, Grandpa?
Well, you eat meat, don't you? You eat chicken, I know you do. Yes, you see, ducks are very useful birds, really, because they lay lots of eggs, especially those Indian runners. They lay lots of eggs, beautiful, rich eggs, very nice to eat, very nice to make cakes out of. And as well as that, they're very nice to eat. And if you don't like eating ducks, you know what you have to be, don't you? You have to be a vegetarian. Have a bit for Dodo.
Grandpa likes ducks, doesn't he, Fifi?
Your grandfather likes all his animals. I don't think he has any favourites. Oh, except one, possibly.
You mean Dodo?
Oh, Dodo's all right, I suppose. A good dog deserves a good bone, as the saying goes. Talking of dogs and ducks, that reminds me of a story of your grandfather's. Try saying to him, "You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs." He'll remember.
All right. Grandpa,
Yeah?
Fifi told me to say something.
What?
You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs.
Oh, that old cat and her sayings. What do you suppose she meant?
Something about dogs and ducks.
I know what she was thinking about. The story of Humphrey's enormous supper.
Who was Humphrey?
Humphrey was a Great Dane, a very big dog with a very big appetite. You'd put a great big bowl of food down in front of him, and he'd gollop it all up, and he'd say, not bad for starters. What's for afters? And we had a lot of little dogs in that time too. Little Dachshunds like Dodo and little terriers. And although Humphrey was so big, they used to boss him about, perhaps because he was so big. And they used to say, watch where you're going, Humphrey, mind your great feet. We don't want to be trodden on. Look where you're going. Well, I also had a lot of ducks. And I used to go around the duck house and pick up all the spare eggs and feed them to the dogs. Now, the little dogs would get 1 duck egg each for their suppers, and Humphrey would get perhaps half a dozen. And he'd gollop all that down and he'd say, not bad for starters. What's for afters? And all the little dogs would say, oh, Humph, don't be so greedy. And he'd say, well, I've got to keep my strength up, you know. Anyway, one day I thought I'd give Humphrey a real treat. I think it must have been his birthday. So I collected all the spare eggs there were in the duck house all at once. There were 30 of them. And I put the whole lot into the biggest frying pan we had. And I made him the most enormous omelette. He golloped it all down. And he gave a huge burp and went to sleep.
Do you know Grandpa once had a dog that ate 30 eggs all in one go?
A dog?
Eating 30 hens' eggs?
How dreadful!
No, duck's eggs.
Oh, that's better. Doesn't matter about the eggs from a silly old duck.
If you're stupid enough to believe that any dog could eat 30 eggs at one go, you're stupid enough to believe anything, child.
It was a very big dog. It was a Great Dane.
Oh, I remember that un. Black and white he were, and so big as a calf. Let me see now. He were called Humphrey, I think. Or was it Uncle?
Both, Fred. But just imagine eating an omelette that big. It couldn't be true, could it, Fifi?
Ha ha, my dear Georgina. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction.
Ask a hen, ask a hen. If it's gossip that you want, ask a hen, ask a hen, ask a hen. If you want the latest news, ask a hen.
Here's one for you. Which came first,
The chicken?
or the egg?
Well, there must have been an egg first, so the chicken hatched out of.
But do you have to have a chicken first to lay the egg?
So which did come first, the chicken or the egg?
Egg.
Chicken! We haven't a clue.
Here's another one.
Try this.
Which came first?
The horse?
Oh, the cart.
Oh, that's easy. The horse. There must have been horses around long before anyone thought of the cart. You can't put a cart before a horse. Anyway, before the first cart could be made, someone had to invent the wheel.
2 wheels,
One on each side.
like your grandpa's cart.
Oh,
Which reminds us.
He sent a message.
What was it?
Ask Georgina if she'd like a ride.
He said,
Oh, yes, that'd be lovely. Tell me I'll be there in a minute.
In a minute, in a minute, in a minute,
in a minute.
in a minute.
Fifi, Grandpa's taking me for a ride.
Aha, travel broadens the mind, they say.
In the cart? You know, the one that Dob in the cart horse pulls.
You'll enjoy that. It's a good deal pleasanter than riding on a smelly, noisy machine.
Fred, I'm going for a ride in Dobbin's cart.
That'll be nice for you, me dear. I like horses. There was still plenty of horses working on the farms when I were a young tractor.
Fifi says it's nicer riding on a horse than in a smelly, noisy machine.
Smelly? Noisy? What does the stupid creature mean? There's no finer smell than diesel fumes. And as for noise, well, you can hardly expect me to go clip-clop like a silly animal that's only 1 horsepower. Why, I'm 100 horsepower, I am.
And hoity-toity with it.
As for you, Fordson, you can't even move.
'Tis true. Your grandpa's got no need of me anymore with all this modern machinery about.
Poor Fred. Would you like to go to work again?
Don't know about work, me dear. I'm a bit old for that. But I wouldn't mind a trundle round the farm one day.
Fifi,
Oh, yes.
do you think Grandpa will let old Fred Fawston have a trundle around the farm one day?
Oh, well, he might. Why don't you ask him?
I mean, even if he is old, he's no more old-fashioned than Dobbin and his cart.
Talking of that, Georgina, you'd better be off. Your grandfather won't wait forever for you. You know what they say? Lose an hour in the morning and you'll be all day hunting for it. And Dobbin's not the quickest mover in the world either. Not like some horses your grandfather's worked with. That reminds me.
What?
Get him to tell you about Alice and Flower and Foxiana.
All right, then. Why don't you use Dobbin all the time for the work on the farm?
Well, because you want tractors for a lot of the work because they're so much more powerful and they do things so much quicker, you see. But on the other hand, there are awkward things about tractors too, because they can tip over and hurt you, which Dobbin wouldn't do. And they have to have lots and lots of petrol, and if ever we ran out of petrol, we'd have to go back to horses, wouldn't we? And also tractors are very heavy and they squash the ground down when they go over them, which horses don't do. So there's a lot of room for a horse on a farm still. There's lots of little jobs they can do, like we're doing this morning.
What are these round pieces by the side of its eyes?
Round pieces by the side of its eyes. Well, those are called blinkers. That's so Dobbin shan't be suddenly frightened by something that moves to one side. And they're fitted onto the headstall. And then in his mouth he's got a bit so that we can control him. And here's the collar. And the collar is attached by things called tugs to the shafts. That's what he pulls against to get the cart along. Here's the saddle. And the chain goes over that to hold the shafts up. And then at the back we've got the britching with more chains here for when he wants to go in reverse, push the cart back. Shall we go for a ride now? Come on then. Come on, Dobbin. Come on, lad. Good boy. You all right? Oh, did you enjoy that?
Yes, Grandpa, it's smashing.
Well, I suppose that old cat Fifi's already said what story I'm going to tell you today, has she?
She has, about Alice and Flower and Foxiana.
Yes, well, I used to work on a farm where they still used horses. And a very different lot they were, too. Alice and Foxiana used to do the light work. Flower used to pull the big wagon loaded with sheaves of corn or with hay. But you had to be very careful with each of them because each of them was frightened of a different thing. Alice was frightened of gateposts. You had to be very careful how you drove Alice because when you got near to a gate, she'd say, "Don't you touch the wheel of the cart or the gatepost! Don't you touch it! My nose won't stand it!" And Flower was much bigger, but she was frightened of something even bigger than herself. She was frightened of the green single-decker bus that came through the village every morning and afternoon. You had to remember not to drive Flower down the village street when the bus was due, because if she saw it, she'd shout out, It's the green monster! It's the great green monster! And she'd stop dead and she'd start to paddle with her great hooves and she'd snort and roll her eyes. And when the bus got nearer, she'd take off and bolt with the wagon behind her, full or empty. Foxy Anna was frightened of pigs. She didn't have to see a pig, just smell one or hear it grunt. And she'd shout out, "It's a pig, it's a pig, pigs, horrible, horrible pigs, save me!" And I didn't know when I was told to take Foxy Anna out in the hay rake to pick up some rakings from a hayfield that at the end of that field there were some pigs belonging to another farmer. So I was driving Foxy Anna along, enjoying myself, driving nice, quiet, sensible Foxy Anna. We came to the end of the field, and there, looking through the hedge, were a lot of pigs. "Pigs, pigs, horrible, horrible pigs," said Foxy Anna. And she started to go backwards, and the tines of the hay rake dug into the ground, and the shafts came up, and out I went over the back, wallop onto the ground, and Foxy Anna whisked round and galloped away with the old hay rake banging and rattling and clanging behind her, and she never stopped until she got back to the stable.
Grandpa's been telling me this story of a farm he worked on where there was a tractor like you, Fred.
That must have been a long time ago.
Before you were thought of, Bert, my boy.
Look here, Fordson, my name is Hubert, and I am not your boy.
Thank heavens.
Did he tell you about Alice and Flower and Foxy Anna?
Yes, they were all frightened of something.
I'm not frightened of anything.
I'm frightened of something, I don't mind saying.
What's that, Fred?
Rust. I'm getting ever so rusty.
What about you, chickabiddies? Are you frightened of anything?
Nothing. Nothing at all.
Nothing.
What about the dark?
No.
No.
What about spiders?
Spiders. No.
What about the fox?